Most consultants struggle with the same problem. How do you scale beyond your personal network without spending all day prospecting? You know you need visibility, but complex marketing funnels feel overwhelming when you just want to focus on delivering great work. Hello, I'm Paul, and welcome to my podcast. This is episode 646. And as you can see, I'm not in my usual studio today, and I'm down at my holiday house. But that doesn't mean that Andy Culligan doesn't make a fantastic guest on the podcast. And Andy, what you're going to find from him is a lot about how he is a fractional CMO. In other words, a consultant giving marketing and sales consultancy skills, and particularly go-to-market skills, how he grows his business. And one is podcasting, and he has some very diverse guests like astronauts and CEOs, but he builds his brand and he attracts really hard to get to people for his podcast. So he highly recommends a podcast for you. The second is why targeting companies posting job ads is a fantastic strategy, a lot better than just pure cold outreach. And he gives some great examples. The third one is how to leverage awards and PR, which he got a SaaS Marketer of the Year in Europe, which is great. And the last one is why offline networking, face-to-face events, etc., is a great way to grow your business. And he's a fractional CMO, as I said, and a CEO and co-founder of purplepath.io, a go-to-market partner for B2B SaaS companies. Andy describes himself as a salesperson stuck in a marketing or a marketer's body, I should say, and he excels in aligning marketing and sales teams to drive revenue growth. With over a decade of experience in SaaS MarTech, Andy has built and led teams to success, making him a go-to CMO, the reason he won the award, at a fraction of the cost. What I'll do now is hand you over to Andy Culligan, and you're going to love this interview. Great to have you here, Andy.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
Yeah, well, I know we did a quick warm-up, and I'm still on a life's pursuit of finding an Irish person that I don't like, and sadly, I'm still in that pursuit. So it was great to talk to you and great to have you on the podcast today. But what I always love to kick off with is who's your ideal client and what problems do you love to solve for them?
Our ideal client is typically B2B tech. We work with a lot of SaaS companies. Typical revenue size, 10 million upwards, probably between 10 to 50 million in revenue. They already have a go-to-market team in place. The go-to-market team is underperforming, which is typically the case. CEO doesn't know what to do. Chief Revenue Officer doesn't know what to do. CMO is lost, or they may not have a CMO. I come in either as a fractional CMO or working together as a consultant with the CEO, and we look to build a plan and then go execute the plan.
Fantastic. The size of SaaS, what's sort of the typical size?
When it comes to a SaaS business, we find anywhere between 10 million annual recurring revenue to up to around max 50 million in annual recurring revenue. If they've managed to get to 50 million in annual recurring revenue, they're doing okay. So they probably don't need too much help. But if they've hit one of the valleys of death, there's a very interesting article that was written a number of years ago about the SaaS valleys of death.
Yes.
And it typically goes 0 to 500K ARR, annual recurring revenue. You're going to have people fall through the valley of death and not survive. And it goes 500 to 1 million, and then 1 to 5 million, and then 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 and onwards. And a lot of companies find themselves in that valley of death, and they don't know how to change to get beyond that value of debt, because a SaaS business that's at 1 million is very, very different to a SaaS business that's 10 million.
Yes.
And typically you might find the same founders, the same C-levels that are in trying to run the business that was 5 million a couple of years ago, but they found themselves now in a business that's a 10 million. And the process and everything needs to be completely different. The way of doing business needs to be completely different. The way that they manage things needs to be completely different. The tech setup, everything needs to be different. It's almost like a completely different company. And you need to know what the playbook is. And we have the playbook at each of those different levels.
You said everything changes. What changes in the marketing? Let's say if I'm a 10 million and I'm looking to get to 15, I know it's a bit of a piece of string question, but what typically do they have to do differently?
I think let's talk about not just marketing, it's the entire go-to-market approach or sales and marketing approach, right? If you've managed to get to 10 million, depending on what you sell, we typically work with high ticket SaaS. So average order average order sizes of like 100K ARR type of thing, right?
Yep.
And with that, you find that like you can get to 10 million pretty quickly, right? If you're selling deals that are an average order size of 100K, you might find yourself with a couple of customers in there that are worth $1 million a year, right? And typically that growth is stemmed from the founders or people within the business, relationships that are existing within the business with the prospect. And then and a lot of consultants will know this. I know your audience is consultants. It's built around relationships.
Yes.
But how the heck do you scale that? That's where everything changes. Like you can get by with founder-led growth mentality, whereas the founders are the ones that are the ones that are engaging with customers. They're the ones that are sharing thought leadership content, etc. But there's no system to it really. They're just tapping into their network, sharing here and there, and that's how they're getting recognized, and maybe doing a bit of PR here and there. But there's no real plan behind it. It's just sort of, let's just keep going and I'll do some more intros and talk to some people and use my network. Whereas when you go beyond that, when you go beyond the level of founder-led growth, you really need to focus on strategies that are going to then really get your brand in front of companies that could be your prospect, right? So you're going to have to implement an account-based marketing approach, which doesn't just include marketing, but it also includes sales and customer success and so on, right? And essentially with that, you're doing a market mapping exercise. You're looking at all of the various markets that you are operating in and the ones that you want to operate in. You map out your entire list of accounts and then you come up with strategies and how to surround those accounts. And that will be all elements of the marketing mix. Whereas that's a very different strategy to a founder just tapping into their network and other people that are on the management team tapping into their network and just fighting nail and tooth for every little bit of business that they're getting in. You're creating more of a system to help more come in. But it's not, a lot of people want it to happen overnight. Not everybody wants it to happen overnight. It's like, oh, where are the results? Why aren't we getting results? We started 2 days ago. Where are the results? That can take a year or two before it really starts to see some effect, right?
Yeah, no, that's great. And I know that I think one of my clients is a Monday partner. I was talking to him today and I heard a past guest, Isaac Meters, talk about Monday.com and its sudden fall from grace. I think its share price in the last week's dropped 46% or something. Don't quote me. We're recording this before it goes live, so it may have jumped up. But the key theme here was that, it's been attacked at all angles by other solutions, predominantly AI driven, that has meant that people are finding other ways to, solve their issues, or they're using AI a lot more to do their task management, because let's be honest, whoever wants to do task management in the first place, right? For you, are you seeing any of that sort of impact at your level of clients, your SaaS clients?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're looking for advice, my advice right now would be to buy Monday.com shares, because I think it's a knee-jerk response to a number of things that are happening at the moment. Like the Monday.com thing is coming off the back of the AI revolution, let's call it, right? And look, there's still going to be the need for project management. Like we need project management as a go-to-market agency at Purple Path, the company that I run. We need project management tool. We need something to help keep us accountable for all of the various things that are ongoing. The various companies that I work with also need some level of project management to make sure that they are staying on top of everything and that there's a good overview of everything. We've seen in the past couple of years, especially on the B2C side, marketing resource management as a huge topic. Marketing resource management is essentially project management with some campaign planning and budget planning in there as well. That has exploded over the past couple of years. And companies have gone from good to great overnight. One of my customers actually is in the marketing resource management space, and they've exploded overnight, actually. So I don't think that need is going to go away. I think Monday.com are just very visible, and everybody knows Monday, right? It's a well-known brand, and obviously having gone IPO. And with the uncertainty that's on the market at the moment, I think it's just a short-term impact for them. I don't see it being something that's going to be a real problem for them unless they haven't embraced AI into their technology. So I don't know what their roadmap looks like. I don't know what their AI features and functionality is going to look like. But if they're able to then prove that that's going to be worthwhile for the businesses that are their customers, I think that you'll start to see their share price start to creep back up again. I think it's a short term.
Look, and I haven't had a look at its competitors, set Asana, Notion, etc., to see what's happened for there. But I do think, think it'll probably overcorrect and, to your point, sort of get some medium. Where I'm looking for a lot of, you're a consultant listening to this, it might be specifically a Monday consultant or Zoho, whatever it is, right, a Asana, etc. That if the agentic plays out the way that I think it's going to play, you'll have this, let's say this podcast is a meeting, and then effectively then all the actions will, or a lot of the actions will take place straight out of the meeting, right? So it'll typing it into a project management system. So I don't know if it's going to play out that way, but I think that will definitely eat into a lot of the tools that have been used. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We'll switch gears a little for a moment around, for you and your business, what are the things that you do to get more SaaS, B2B SaaS clients?
Visibility. So we work a lot. We try to eat as much of our own dog food as possible, right? I don't know if you're familiar with that saying, but in SaaS definitely. Or in tech, we say, if you're not using your own tool, you're not eating your own dog food. And the same goes for us. We have a team behind us that we're coming up constantly with ideas in terms of how we can be a bit more creative than other SaaS business or other consultancy businesses that sell into the SaaS space. We have a good LinkedIn following that's growing. We have a podcast where we're recording 2 to 3 times a week with interesting guests, right? We do things like we've had people like astronauts that have served on the International Space Station, for example, and talking about trying to get out of tricky situations, to Navy SEALs, to Red Bull wingsuit jumpers and flyers. We've had like world-class rock climbers on, surfers, as well as business like CEOs from large tech businesses. But we try to keep it somewhat varied. And we found then with those, we're starting to see like 10,000 listens a month type of thing, but just because of the amount of interesting guests that we're having on, and that's gaining us some exposure. Some people have said to us,
is that organic?
That we are pushing that across. So we're not doing any paid stuff on the podcast other than what we push out on LinkedIn. We push out some stuff on LinkedIn and put some money behind it, but not much, right? We are then chopping up every podcast episode into various shorts. We're utilizing YouTube for that. YouTube is the best channel to drive. So that's where we're getting most of our listens from, is on YouTube. And that's where we're getting most of our exposure. And for me, it's a relatively light lift. But the thing is, when people see a podcast, and you know yourself, Paul, like you need to do this week in, week out, a couple of times a week, and you just need to keep at it because, not every episode is going to land, and not every episode is going to have some gold in it. And I find that a lot with my own clients or customers, they do 2 episodes and they go, "Oh, that was shit. My apologies, excuse my French. That didn't work out at all. Let's stop it." And I'm like, "You've barely started, And they're like, "Well, prove the ROI in it." I'm like, "You can't, and you never will be able to. But I can guarantee you that you're getting that in front of the right eyeballs and it's helping your brand." For us, it's a big brand play. We've also got something running at the moment, which is something that we call Roast Your Marketing Plan. I recently won an award, Tech SaaS or SaaS Marketer of the Year at an awards here in Europe. And we really utilize that to the best of our ability. We got some PR behind it. We got some news articles written, appeared in the newspapers and that. And with that, like, it wasn't about getting clients via newspapers. Like, I know that's not going to happen, but we would take whatever articles were published, take pictures of that with your phone, put that up on LinkedIn. That gets hundreds of likes and interactions as opposed to other stuff that may not. Yes. And with that, we're utilizing that. We also had some Times Square advertising go up as well, which we took pictures of, etc. And that then went onto LinkedIn again. And we really utilize LinkedIn for it because, as I said before, like our thing is around relationship building and face-to-face stuff. How do you do that best? Is everybody's on LinkedIn.
And are you doing any social watching on LinkedIn or social watching / social listening?
Yes. Yeah, we do. We for our outreach, like with the company now, there's 5 of us, right? And 3 of us are heavy on the outreach. What we're doing is we're using Apollo.io. I don't know if you know Apollo. With Apollo, we're looking at some of those news scoops that are coming in against certain companies, like if they've just received a round or whatever it is. Then we'll also push messaging out to them via LinkedIn and also via email. That will come from me or one of my co-founders. On top of that, what we do is LinkedIn Sales Nav. With LinkedIn Sales Navigator, we're able to see if people have switched jobs or if there's been a newsworthy event happen there, and then we're able to enter them into our sequence then as well. So we have Apollo and Sales Nav working at the same time.
And have you looked at tools like Clay?
Yeah. So I have a guy on the team who is marketing ops and digital marketing specialist. I've worked with him now for the past 15 years across numerous organizations. He is my go-to for all things AI and agentic setup and everything. So Marcus is a real MarTech wizard is probably the best way to put it. It's probably too light of a reference from. But when it comes to setup there, like I don't get heavily involved. Marcus is the one that's running all of that. For our customers, we are doing it more than we are for ourselves.
Yes.
For our customers, as of yesterday, we just released a setup recognizing what pricing certain customers are on within HubSpot. And then what we're able to do is then based on the pricing tier that they're on, based on the contract that has been sent out to that customer, we're then able to, we've then got the agent running to see what would be the next best price to give to them to make sure that they don't churn. And then that would be the price that would then be sent to that customer. That's all run via an agent. So the agent is reading all of the various contracts directly from HubSpot, then looking at the plan that they're on, then taking that information and populating it elsewhere into an Excel file, basically, so that we've got an eye view. Okay, these customers are all on this plan. We now know that we need to upgrade them to another plan. What is that recommended plan based on the plan that they're already on, and what has been the communications before? So that's all being orchestrated more or less via Clay.
Yeah, brilliant. And you talked about you're doing a lot of outreach. Is there any particular tactic that works better than not for you guys to get response rates? And, what are your response rates when you're reaching out to B2B SaaS?
I still think that LinkedIn is your best way forward, to be honest. We've tried doing it at scale. Like we've tried to send emails to tons of people and loads of in-mails at the same time. Typically hasn't worked for us. Now I see that working in B2B SaaS though. I see it working for SDRs, but we're not SDRs. Like I don't have time to spend my entire day just doing prospecting. Instead, what I found the best way or the best connect rates that I'm seeing is very simple. Is I look at the job ads that are happening on LinkedIn and I see companies that are hiring for various marketing positions, senior marketing positions. Yes. I connect directly with the person that has posted that ad as well as a C-level, normally the CEO. I then tell them what we offer, that we can get marketing services up and running overnight. And that's typically the best way to start the conversation. So it's not at scale, but it's working, right? And it's just because it's simple. Like, I think that my advice to people that are listening to this, it doesn't have to be this huge, massive thing where there's like a workflow based off another workflow that's then sending personalized emails that's based off something over. Don't stress yourself with that. Just think about how people buy. Yes. You start to build a relationship. How do you build a relationship? You build a relationship via networks. How do you build a relationship at this day and age over a network? What is the network? The network is LinkedIn. Connect with people that are looking for something that you have to offer. How do I do that? I do that because I know that people are looking for a senior marketer. I'm a senior marketer as a service. Yes. Door opened. Yes. I can get, you don't need to worry. You don't need to spend more time looking for that senior marketer. You have them here. I can start tomorrow and I can help you find a full-time marketer if you want. Yeah. And look, I think that's a good summary. Like what I'm doing with a lot of our clients is looking for strategic partners. So yes, we do direct and back. And, I know for me personally, most of my clients come through direct LinkedIn outreach. The way that we do it, it's working exceptionally well. For my clients, it depends on industry. It has different degrees of success, but definitely looking for strategic partners, which is your version of, being pinpoint with the job ad. That tends to work very well. I still think it's great. As far as your content, I know you talk a lot about your podcast and repurposing, etc. How much are you using AI to help make that process easier for you and the other four in the company? Massively. Like we use Riverside to record our pods. Riverside then has the magic button that you press and it takes all the snippets out for you. You don't need to go in and start chopping up things yourself, right? It recognizes certain parts within an episode that could be interesting. Now, you need a review on that, obviously, because you never know, right? That is getting better and better. We're using that for creating all of the snippets that we then push out to various channels, e.g. YouTube. In terms of creating blog content, we take a chunk of episodes, and I also do this with some of the customers that I work with. We take a chunk of the episodes that we've recorded and try to find similarities across each of those different episodes. Yes. Plug that all into ChatGPT and ask it to create some content. Yes. Now, is it going to be spot on from the beginning? Definitely not. No. But you've got something that you can work with. Yeah. Right. So you're going to have to rework that a little bit, but then use that as blog content. From one 25-minute video, we've gotten 10 to 15 snippets that we can push out on social. We've got a blog post that we can more or less put out there without too much effort. And then on top of that, we also have trained some AI to sound like our brand so that it's able to create some social posts for us. Now, are we going to directly copy and paste those social posts? Definitely not. But at least gives you all the social posts for the week that you could potentially use, and then you just need to manipulate them so that it sounds more like you.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And I call it, because my mum is a teacher, you've probably heard me say this before if you've listened for a while, that I call it black pen, red pen. It wasn't that long ago we were writing everything black pen, right? And then now all we do is red pen, just edit what we've got. And, my content creation path, similar to yours, and it's just huge. I tend to use Claude more, I must admit, than ChatGPT. 5, even 5, I find not as good. The downside of Claude is that you constantly run out of space. And I'm too tight to upgrade to the max, but I might have to do that. And as far as the other quick one on podcasting, if you're ever thinking of setting up a podcast, I'd love to get your view on this, Andy, but I think it's the best door opener you can ever have. Like, if you really want to get to someone and you go and mention that they could come on as a guest on your podcast, it's incredible how many people say yes versus any other medium that I've ever done. I don't know if you've had that experience, Andy. I know you're talking astronauts. I'm just talking to normal people, but
no, 100%. Like we've done that. Like I've done that with customers that I've run podcasts for, and we would use it as a sales channel because you're basically it's a soft touch, right? And you're also going on somebody's ego. Oh, I'd love to have you on the podcast to interview you because you're so amazing, like, oh, great. Yeah, I'd love to come on and have a chat. And then that just starts a conversation, and the conversation can then move to a next step, which could then involve, I don't know, how about we have a look at the platform and see what your needs are, etc. And things could snowball from there. So yeah, we would, yeah. I have used it as a sales channel. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, there's the right way and the wrong way to do that. So I think there is authenticity in the way that you do that, but I totally agree. As far as other uses of AI that you've seen that have really impressed you, I know that you said you've got someone in the team that's sort of dedicated with Clay and they're probably using N8N and other things, but what are the things that you're using on a day-to-day outside of the content?
Sure. I've seen some interesting stuff on gathering intent data. What we do is we use a number of a number of different tools to get first party and mostly third party intent data. Now, what does that mean? So first party intent data is the data that you own. So it's people visiting your website, companies that are visiting your website, right? There are a number of tools out there for that. For example, Leadfeeder, very close to them because I was part of the leadership team there for a number of years. Then third party intent data you can get typically from a company called Bombora. But Bombora, there's variations to Bombora, and typically your data tool is now going to have one which is normally behind the scenes, white labeled and powered by Bombora, right? So let's take Zoom Info, for example. They'll have the third party intent data. What is third party intent data? It's all of the things that are happening on the internet outside your four walls, basically, right? So
it's all the list.
People are searching for the technology that you have to offer. So a simple example that I often use is marketing automation. If I'm, for example, HubSpot, and I want to know which companies are searching for marketing automation tools, then it will give me a list of companies based on their search history, basically, of marketing automation tools, right?
Yes.
And they'll also get a score, etc. But what we tend to do is let's take those two data points, the first party intent data and the third party intent data, and we match both of those together. We would then feed them into HubSpot. That most of that would be run via Clay.
Yes.
It's not a very difficult thing to do at all. It's a very simple setup. Yes. But it would be run via Clay, and then all of that information together compounded would then be pushed over into HubSpot for a seller to see this particular account has not only visited your website, but has also been looking elsewhere for a tool like yours.
And I was saying, I know that we've had some success with another client who's a past guest, Tom Simpson, around also looking at who's the followers of a particular software. So if you're a SaaS, you got a lot of followers on LinkedIn, then you can obviously, there's ways to obtain those followers and then put that through the intent data, etc. So it's quite incredible. And sometimes I feel like we're drinking out of an absolute massive fire hose because there is so much new technology that's hit. Like, MarTech was saturated to begin with, and now it's just like it's going up a level again. But I think there is your recruitment or the job openings. I think there's some really true proven paths that you can follow without getting too caught up in all the tech. And I think for a lot of you listening is just because you sell it doesn't mean it's the best thing for your business. And I think you've given some really good examples today where you might do something that's really good for your business to get your clients, because you only need maybe 10, 20 a year versus working for someone else that they need thousands of clients. So make sure that the tool fits the opportunity. But just a reminder, we're listening to Andy Culligan. It's 646. We're fast approaching the 650, and you'll probably tell for standard listeners that I'm not in my salacious office tonight. I'm down in my holiday house, so apologies for the not fantastic background. It is a 1983 holiday house, and that's all we can afford. What we're going to do is pause for a moment, thank our sponsors, and then we'll come back for the rapid fire. Brilliant execution, terrible strategy. You can solve any client problem, but you're stuck in the same revenue patterns, same deal sizes, same time for money trap. I'm Paul, and I built and sold a 7-figure consulting business, but here's what I've learned mentoring other consultants. The real breakthroughs happen when you combine my experience with live problem solving of people going through exactly what you're facing now. In my group program, Steve works through his VA delegation challenge with Jed. Jed shares what's actually working. Andrew tests his pricing strategy with Casey, and Casey demonstrates his client onboarding system. Everyone's figuring it out together with my guidance based on what I learned the hard way. It's not theory, it's real-time strategic thinking with consultants in the trenches plus someone who's already made the journey. Stop grinding alone. Start thinking strategically. Go to paulhigginsmentoring.com/WWM. That's paulhigginsmentoring.com/WWM. So Andy, ready for the rapid fire? All right, let's do this. So first question. I know we've talked about a lot of AI tools, but what else has impressed you that we haven't talked about?
What else has impressed me that we haven't spoken about? Okay. Just in terms of in the last anything. Well, it's impressed me that you're in Melbourne. I like that. But no.
AI related.
AI related. Okay, I think so it just my own work in the past days. We've had a business where we've been trying to get a lot of things over the line very quickly, and I've been working with AI personally has been in the past weeks actually, when trying to get things over the line quickly. And ChatGPT, the latest upgrade to 5 has been like groundbreaking. I think it's in comparison to what we had a year ago, it's no comparison. I was able to code things very quickly. I'm by no means a developer. Yes. And I was back and forth with the AI asking, I need this change to that and this change to this. And I have some limited knowledge of coding, but this was able to give me something that would take hours for somebody else to do in the past.
Yes.
Right. And I was able to hand it over to the client and it was flawless.
Yes.
So it took some back and forth and I spent the time on it. I probably spent 10 hours on something that normally would have spent a week doing. Right. But I managed to get it over the line in 10 hours. And if we keep going in that direction, it's only going to be, I don't know, that 10 hours is going to be 5 hours in a couple of months from now, probably.
Great. So we've talked a lot about for channels for you, your go-to-market. We talked about LinkedIn in particular. Is there any other channel that's underrated at the moment that you think people are missing an opportunity on, particularly consultants looking to get their end clients?
Offline. Like where online is so saturated, go offline. Get to events, get to meetups, get to dinners, rub shoulders with people, get to know people, wine and dine, enjoy yourself, get your name out there, get your face out there, shake hands, kiss babies, do what you got to do. But I really see that taking a massive resurgence over the past year or so.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely horrified that an Irishman would say wine and dine someone. That absolutely shocks me. Where do you go to learn more about how do you grow your business?
LinkedIn is probably the number one source for knowledge. I'm connected with a lot of sales and marketing influencers on there. I've gotten very close to some of those people that have run very successful consultancy businesses themselves over the past 10 years or so. And with that, I'm just able to lean in on them for advice. I'm very close with some very successful SaaS founders and I lean on them for advice. So probably like the best way to put it would be sort of mentors.
Yes.
Probably the best way to put it.
Yeah, great.
You know?
And, you've been running Purple Path, your own business for a while now. What do you know now that you wish you had known earlier?
One thing I would do differently is I would give feedback quicker. That's something I'm learning more and more throughout my career. The quicker you give feedback, the quicker you can fix the problem. Tear the Band-Aid off.
Yes.
If somebody's doing a bad job, tell them. Move on, know.
Yep. Great. Well, once again, episode 646, Andy Culligan, and he's from purplepath.io, and all the links, etc., will be in the show notes. But Andy, great to meet you. Great that you have been to Melbourne, have a fascination for Melbourne, and for those particularly in Europe or in America, I apologise for a lovely Irish accent and not so Australian accent. So I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Paul.
So what was Andy's biggest insight? It was around relationship building still wins over pure automation. Whether you're podcasting consistently, connecting to companies when they're hiring roles, which is a great skill he's developed, or getting back to in-person events, the fundamentals of business development haven't changed. Just the channels and the speed with AI that we can get to them. Reach out to Andy on LinkedIn and thank him for sharing what he did today on the podcast about how to grow a consulting business. And if you've got some SaaS clients, Andy might be a great fit for them. And you can learn more about Purple Path at purplepath.io. You can watch Andy and I, given my background isn't great, my audio is not as good, but Andy's is. You can watch that on the YouTube channel, which is Paul Higgins Mentoring. I'll see you next time on the Paul Higgins Podcast. What stood out to you from today's conversations? Look, building a consulting practice that doesn't resolve around you isn't easy, but it's possible. The consultants and the experts I interview have proven that. Every week I share insights from those conversations, practical strategies from people who've actually done it or help others do it. If you want to learn more from this experience, get my newsletter at paulhigginsmentoring.com/newsletter. Just practical stuff from consultants who's figured it all out. And if this was helpful, share it with another consultant. We're all trying to crack the same code. Thanks for listening.